although the game being as fast as it is, I'm not sure.
Okay, and we are told though this is the live game actually, so we can't actually move it. But
d4, knight f6, bishop f4.
And Grishchuk making his appearance.
Opening strikes again.
All right, let's see what Yangyi has prepared against it. He plays a quick d5. Okay.
So far, there's not really very much to discuss. This is a variation aimed solely at achieving a reasonably unknown position you can just play, something Magnus always excelled at. E6, bishop d, knight f3, I'm sorry, not bishop d3 first.
Yeah, a normal approach for the world champion, I think, also to sidestep theory.
A6. This is already slightly offbeat. I'm not sure what this move is about. Perhaps Black is waiting to decide on his next approach. He could switch to. It might find it useful if, for instance, White plays c4, but Magnus goes bishop d3, and generally after bishop d3, it will feel in some positions that this is not necessary. c5, c3, of course, White wants to preserve the bishop on d3 on the b1, h7 diagonal. This is very, very important. And Black normally plays something like knight c6, bishop d6 here.
Yeah, you definitely want to trade off this bishop on f4, which is
but
it's kind of dangerous.
Yeah, but it's bishop generally retreats to g3, and Black is invited to take on g3, improving White's structure.
Right.
And if he doesn't do it immediately, White will, on occasion, play knight e5. For instance, here after castles, I expect Magnus to go knight e5.
So knight e5 already in this position is something that we can expect.
I think it's a very, very standard reaction here, trying to occupy this square, perhaps support the knight later by f2, f4, and start a kingside attack.
It's a pretty standard idea in these positions. What else can we think of here from Magnus?
Well, you can castle, or I mean, playing for the queenside castling, which you sometimes see in these lines.
And do so knight e5.
Yeah, knight e5. Yeah, I thought that was the most likely choice from Magnus. Knight c6, e7 is.
Yangyi's quick response actually transferring to f5, I would guess.
Yeah, that's generally the point. Black wants to play knight f5, b5, bishop b7 on the other side of the board as well. So. It's actually quite harmonious from Black, and he plays b6, perhaps not wanting to give a target to play a4 against.
Right, a more solid development, I would say, than...
Bishop h4 is an idea, but I think Black can play knight g6, and he is quite comfortable doing that. So Magnus now has to come up with a plan.
He does play bishop h4.
He does play bishop h4.
We expected the move here, knight g6, with the idea that any recapture really is
But I think he wants to take on f6, and after queen f6 he will play f4, and he got rid of the bad bishop. I think this must be why he played bishop h4.
Some kind of stone wall followed with queen h5, for example.
It doesn't really matter what you do after. It's just it matters a great deal that you got rid of the one bad piece you had in the structure. Right. You would want to play f4 immediately instead of bishop h4, but then the bishop on g3 is completely useless. So you start by doing this. You prompt Black to react to it somehow, and then you trade it off, and you play a stone wall. I would actually maybe consider with Black playing knight g6 and taking with the g pawn.
Yeah, so it's forcing the knight.
Forcing the knight to come. Yeah, it's not a decision. You cannot take on g6. It makes no sense whatsoever. So you play knight f3, and Black plays something like bishop b7, and
instead of that
continues normally.
Yangyi put the knight on f5, which changes things quite a bit.
Yeah, that is different because now...
Well, e3 is under attack in the end of the variation. For example, if I take...
Yeah, queen takes, now you can no longer play f4, so this is interesting.
Yeah, he could take on f5, which changes the structure a great deal. And after pawn takes...
And now we need to look for a good move for White here. Yeah. Perhaps you could maybe make an argument for... No, see, I wanted to go c4, but I think after c takes d4, I can't really find a... I thought knight c6, but queen c7 is very awkward.
Okay, yeah, this poor decision here.
Yeah, I thought this is maybe interesting for White, but I don't think this is particularly strong.
Yeah,
maybe takes queen f3.
Takes queen f3, threatening some pawns, but I can go bishop e6.
Bishop e6, I guess, is very solid here.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks solid enough, I would say, in this position.
Yeah, it doesn't look bad at all for Black. I mean, if Black is given some moves, he might consider playing, let's say, h6 and g5, untying himself in this fashion.
Right. So yeah, it's an important decision here for Magnus on which pieces to actually take off the board.
He's down to 3 minutes against 3.5 for his opponent, but it's the first real decision he has to face in this game, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. What other options? No, nothing
well,
much.
I think having played bishop h4, you need...
Bishop, I was thinking about bishop g5, but I didn't see the big difference.
Yeah, I'm wondering what the idea after h6 is, whether he just wants to play bishop f4 actually and return it to that diagonal after winning some time. Could be a a cute maneuver, which I'm not sure it makes such a great deal of improvement. That sentence didn't come out right, but maybe he probably didn't like the other options. Right. Yeah, and he just he keeps the position alive. And after h6, I think the way to justify this is to play bishop f4. I'm not sure there is much else.
Yeah, I'm starting to think about g5 is too much.
Maybe take on f6 and go e4. We could check maybe this for a second.
Well, what is the difference between?
I don't know, but just as a general idea. But maybe c takes d4 is very strong here.
C takes.
But I have knight g4. Wait, I have knight g4 here.
Knight g4.
So he goes bishop f4, so we can abandon this line of thought.
Yeah, in which it's more to his style. I think he preserves the
bishop
pieces.
b7, but maybe the idea is in some positions to go g4, g5. Now that we have a target on the king side, I can imagine white actually playing g4, g5 in some situations.
Even right away? I was actually even thinking of playing g5 here for black.
But then knight c6 I think is very strong. I think it's easy to miss actually that after g5 white plays knight c6, trades on d6, and returns the knight to e5, and black has ruined his structure on the king side for nothing, for nothing at all. Yeah, so I think that would be
very unfortunate for black's position.
That would be very advantageous for white. I think bishop b7 is the most normal move here, or something like maybe queen c7. Although I don't really see why you need this.
This queen there, yeah.
Yeah.
He plays bishop
b7, and here I'm curious about g4, g5.
Yeah, we can just take a look. g4, and
he goes h3. He goes the more conservative route to. Now he has a h2 square to retreat to if black plays g5.
And in a blitz game, I think h3 is really nice. You can play it quickly. It makes a lot of sense for your bishop, and you can always play g4 even stronger later now that g4 is reinforced.
Yes. A non-committal move, which makes a lot of sense in the situation Magnus is in here.
And also, I've always found it difficult to find a move for black in this kind of position.
You can play.
You can make moves, but I don't know how they improve the position.
Yes, it's now a very stable situation for both sides. But I think it's easier to see what potential plans are for white than they are for black.
Right.
If you get g4, bishop g3, and the bishop on g3 is no longer feels as pointless as it would have been earlier, and then you can start pushing on the king side. And white's structure on the queen side is so solid here that creating counterplay on that flank is not that easy. He goes bishop e7, I think.
Yeah, I think that's what he played.
Freeing up the d6 square for the knight. I think that's the idea of the move. He wants to meet g4, potential g4 with knight d6.
Yeah.
And Magnus goes a4.
Playing on both flanks.
Improving his situation on the queen side as well. Knight d6 anyway. If white plays a5, black has c4. So this is not an idea right now. And he probably also wants to, f3, this is what I was going to say, that stopping knight e4 is probably a very sensible idea. It's not so much that white wants to play e4, at least in the immediate future, that he wants to stop black from landing on e4 with one of his knights. Knight d7.
Yeah, you're trying to create some more threats, and Magnus Carlsen is really picking up the pace. He's playing quite fast. Yangyi down. Considerable amount of time, 30 seconds on the clock.
Yeah, 30 seconds in context of a blitz game is a lot.
The increment exists, it's 3 seconds per move, but it takes a while to...
Yeah, but objectively black's position I think is quite fine, but there's a lot of play left, and Magnus is doing well on the clock.
Extremely well, already over a minute advantage on the clock.
Yeah, it has to be mentioned that he is of course by far the fresher of the two, with Yangyi winning a very difficult and a very long game against Wesley So, whereas Magnus played a short game and went back home to rest.
All right, well, alternative say for Yangyi, he really needs to make a move. I mean, he spent already over 30 seconds here.
But this is the problem with playing a long classical game and then playing blitz. You don't really understand that you don't have enough time to think about things. And he actually returns to f6, which I find curious. I would play something like slightly, even bishop h2 is what I expected Magnus to do, sidestepping all the knight h5 shenanigans and sort of passing the move over to black yet again.
Rook e8.
Yeah, you could start thinking about expanding on the king side already here.
G4,
h4, but also playing against somebody who has 30 seconds left, you perhaps don't really want to sharpen the position too much.
You want to just keep it alive a little bit longer, let him use more time.
Yeah,
let him get to 10 seconds before you do that.
Yeah, Rook ac1 is a bit of a waiting move, and black at some point could think about starting expansion on the queen side with c4 and b5, but that makes white's play in the center much easier, of course.
And after a5, well, you did prevent this idea of putting the bishop back, which I think was possible for Magnus.
But
bishop
it also
but
kills off potential black counterplay on the king side. Very drastic. Yeah, and g4
makes a lot of
happens,
sense.
Very nice to see Magnus correcting everything before pushing the clock. Some people don't do that, but that's what you're supposed to do if your pieces drop when you make a move. You don't start your opponent's clock. Rook f8. Yeah, it seems like now with white having much more space, it should be a pleasant position for him. Queen g2.
Yeah.
Knight d7 and.
It doesn't seem like black's achieved anything in the past.
Yeah,
few months.
black hasn't really made any kind of a progress, but his position is still very, very solid. So
okay, f4 comes in, and I like it now that the knight has left the f6 square. You don't have knight e4, which
it's now very, very concrete, and yeah, probably playing something like. But you can't really play f6.
Yuan has 7 seconds on the clock, from what I can see.
Yeah, and he just plays rook c8 here, which is a a very calm move considering the situation he finds himself in.
He's pretty much living on increment, and increment's only 3 seconds per move.
Rook c1 maybe, just continuing to improve.
Yeah, rook
c1 is what he
why
plays.
not? Play it quickly.
C takes d4, E takes d4 has been played. Maybe
not really
Yangyi wants to go.
Play.
If he wanted to go, yeah, he can't really go knight c4. I thought he could, but he cannot. Bishop a8, but if he plays knight c4, which now is legal, white will just play knight df3, and it just improves white's position. And also, you can probably you can start playing g5.
Let's go. Yeah.
H takes, F takes. You cannot take because you will lose a piece after knight takes d7 and queen takes g5. So he goes knight e5, bishop e5. This is now objectively, I think, a very, very dangerous position for black.
Well, you still can't take on g5. Knight c4 was played.
Yeah, taking in bishop e4 is the most obvious solution, but maybe you can even just go knight f3 here. Because you don't really want to include, knight f3. Positionally, it's much, much better because you want the bishop on a8 to be out of play. Knight e5, and just taking with a knight actually and playing something like rook
takes, okay.
Yeah, Magnus doesn't want to calculate. But knight e5 and queen g4 was also very promising.
And g6 is also a strong idea in this position.
Yeah, bishop d6, rook just, but also even here, queen g4 looks very, very strong here. You might be winning if you play queen g4.
Queen g4, this bishop on a8 is just completely dead for the attack. I like queen g4.
But also just retreating to e2, you will win, I think, eventually. Your position is just so dominant that you don't want to sacrifice anything.
Rook e2, keeping the attack for free.
Yeah, g6 and, well,
knight e5, I guess.
h5 or queen g4. Any of these moves.
G7 was pretty quickly played. Yangyi is doing relatively better on the clock, but still, it's only less than 20 seconds.
And his position is
really bad. This bishop on a8 is really not participating in the defense.
Yeah, you can play h4, and after rook h8, even rook takes e6 comes into serious consideration in many cases. So yeah, this position is. Yeah, h4 has been played, rook h8. I have a feeling rook e6 is winning here. I don't know if Magnus wants to involve himself with it, but
why not?
I have a feeling it's very strong.
Yeah.
Black has to take and play queen e8.
But then you take on
but there's queen e3 check. You do need to be sure, but he does go for rook e6.
Yeah, rook e6, very nice.
Yeah. If you don't take, you're just completely lost. You absolutely need to take because otherwise you're down a pawn and white will just crash through.
Yeah, queen d7 doesn't work because of rook takes g6. So
he takes queen e6. He has to play queen e8 here. White can also start with queen f6 checks, which could be useful here actually. But he just takes.
Queen e3 check is
and rook f2, I guess, or
rook c6.
He rook c6, but then queen e4.
Yeah, queen e5 takes, rook takes e5, knight takes e5. Sorry, and that's pretty much all she wrote in this position.
After rook h4, which is what Yangyi played. I mean, the position after knight c6 is winning. Also, rook f7, rook a7,
rook a7 is completely winning.
Yeah,
no, there's several ways of winning this position.
Yeah, rook f7 followed by, I think rook a7 and bishop takes g6 should be enough. More than enough.
Yeah, this bishop on a8 is pretty dead. Yeah. Rook a7 was played as expected, rook here.
And bishop g6, as expected. Yeah. And yeah, this should be completely lost.
You can't even play bishop c6 because bishop f5.
He went bishop f7 check, but it doesn't. He just picks up material immediately because knight g6 is mate. Actually mate on the board.
It's not made on the board, but it's good enough.
Yeah, it's not, but yeah, sorry. So, a comprehensive victory for Magnus there.
Yeah, pretty straightforward.
Yeah, who took a quiet position, and in the maneuvering phase, he was improving his, whilst Yangyi was burning time and not doing very much at all, and it ended up in a very, very nice victory with a direct attack on the king's side.
We're being told that 3 of Carlsen's 4 losses at the World Blitz came as white.